Hey guys, welcome to the Overnight Coder. Today we're going to go over a couple frequently asked questions that I seem to get a lot. So if you've been watching the comments or if you're in one of the two Facebook groups that supports ListingPro, I tend to see the same questions over and over and over, and I kind of wanted to go over those. I appreciate all the support on the channel. I know it's only 1,000 subscribers, but I'm super happy because I've had over 30 clients for custom work. So really cool there for people who just need a little bit of help or an artistic eye there. Talk a little bit more about it. The custom designs that we create here. I know I do a lot of videos, and a lot of you guys are starting to do this on your own, which is great. And then there's some that maybe you just need like a couple hours of custom work, or you can't find something. And of course, comments are always open, and Facebook groups are always there. But sometimes you need that creative eye. So I want to show you real quick before we get into this. Something that I recently did for a client. We're not 100% done. We're just waiting on some revisions and changes. But the first site that I pull up is not mine. I want to reiterate. I didn't design this. I'll show you what they had and then what we did for them. So the first one was it's Baja Live. Really good guys. It's Chuck and Brian. I've been working with those two guys for a while now. Just kind of finalizing some things. And this is their existing site. It's live now. Definitely a great start for them. They did this on their own. And what they have here is, I want you to see the unique blend of colors in the logo. So you see the orange, the blue, and the green. But then they just put it on black. We had some problems here in the header where the smaller the page is, just the more block up. And I think that's common on a lot of the sites. So I've actually got a code that will expand this header a lot more, which is super easy. But as you take a look, this is their existing site. I want to show you a couple pages on this. This is just their home page. We take a look at the search page. Nothing fancy, just out of the box there. Again, for people who aren't familiar with ListingPro, this is a really good start. And then we'll take a look at their pricing plan page here. Now, normally if we didn't do like a full outcome, I do hourly work as well. I just want to show you what we can do in that hourly work for design. So remember this. Last time you'll see this, soon the new site will be going live, and we took it, and this is what we came up with. So I used those natural colors, also threw in a video there, but we used the colors around the site just to make it really pop with you can visibly see the difference. The full header kind of made it easier, even though same things are in the header. It just obviously helped give that appearance as well. And if we were to scroll down, we just use that colors all around the site. Same concept when we look at the search page. We shorten these up a little bit. Their images I haven't imported yet, but as you can see, we made it a little bit smaller so we didn't have that white space they had. We added some fake ads in here for now. Custom header will be changed, and this is just a featured image if they're missing an image, which they actually have the images. We just didn't import them over for the test site. And then the ad listing page. The ad listing page took a full revamp, rehaul, with just some of the basic things that were in there. Today we will talk about how to change some of the CSS styling for this, especially like your buttons down here. But we just really brought the site to life, and I was really amazed with their color scheme that they already had and how we integrated it. To go from this or their old site to something like this. So keep that in mind. Do custom work. If anybody needs a hand, I'll put my email in the description of the video, as well as you can always contact me via my site, Overnight Coder, on the contact page. You can just kind of send over something there. But cool, hourly work. We do full projects. If you need it from start to finish, maybe you need SEO, maybe you need web scraping. I have 3 different packages for those as well. So thanks again. Let's jump right into the actual tutorial side of things. I did mention 2 Facebook groups that I wanted to show you because I definitely recommend that you get in these groups. The first group here, the ListingPro, actually let's talk about this one first. The ListingPro user group, this is actually, I want to say it was designed by the guys who created ListingPro. There's 2,200 members. It's a private group, so all I have to do is search. It takes them a little bit of time, or it did for me and a couple other people, to get into the group. But if you just show, if you respond and you answer the questions fully that they're asking, they usually get back to you. It did take me a little bit of time to get into it. I like the group because it's got a lot of people. The only thing I and this is nothing against them, or it's just my personal opinion. A lot of these are you can't just post something in this group. Like I can't just type something out and expect it to show up. They moderate everything that's here, and not to say that they pick and choose. Well, I don't know if they pick and choose because all my things are positive, but I just find that a lot of times it's moderated by the owners. So like if I want to post something horrible here, it definitely is not going to show up. Not that I ever would, but more importantly, the big thing for me is the post times. Like, one day I log in, there's nothing there. The next day there's nothing there. And then one day there's like 4 new posts there, but, obviously somebody just got around to modifying it and agreeing with the post. Great group, don't get me wrong. Elementor, we're going to talk about that at the end. But yeah, so with that being said, the second group, and it's a great group, don't get me wrong, I joined both. The second group is it's still a private group. There's about a third of the members, so 757. But these seem to be like not moderated. I mean, Carson, I think, is the owner of the group, and he does a great job of kind of telling people, hey, look, that's not allowed. This is allowed. No crack themes or crack plugins here. It's not good for that. It's all about free help, solutions. And as you can see from the timestamps, the difference in the groups are, yes, these aren't moderated. If I post something here, it shows up. Same thing, my comments, and sometimes you'll find some things that will definitely help you out in both of these groups. Even though I personally, when I do have time, I tend to answer as many questions as I can that are possible here. The only downfall, is when I do get busy, even though I'm busy, I like to kind of be in the group and look at other people's problems, because then if I run into that problem, I already know that it's a problem. And then they have these search bars. So before you even answer or ask any questions, just do a quick search. If you're having a problem with hosting, just double check hosting. So these 2 groups are really awesome. And I think key elements if you want to go far with ListingPro, or even just getting ideas. There's some things in here that I personally didn't even know ListingPro could do. And it's not out of the box, but the people have these different ideas that they've done, and that brings it to light to your situation, and you can actually use it in that method or a better method, which is great. Getting out of that, let me see, I've got a list over here to the side that we're just going to talk about. Hosting. Hosting is a big issue. If you think, and there are some, I'm not going to say all shared hosts suck, and they don't. If I'm building, like this Overnight Coder website is technically, it looks like a business site, but really it's just a blog, right? It's a blog that has tutorials and things on it. There's not a lot of traffic to it. It's just, it is what it is. It's just information that's out there. So something like this doesn't need a lot of resources, right? It doesn't. The videos are on YouTube. I got a little bit of text here and then feed from YouTube. So, so I'm not too worried about like what hosting I have for this. Of course, I have a VPS, and I use the same VPS for everything just to clear that up. But this I can put on a shared host, log it in, pay $1 a month or $3 a month, and be super happy with the hosting. When we look at ListingPro specifically, and the directory and the queries that it's going to be getting and the traffic that it's going to be getting, I think it's a lot different. So a lot of people have come up to me and they've been like, hey, some things don't load. My resources are hogged, or I just can't. I can't do this, or I'll give you an example if it comes up. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. We're going to take off the WP admin. We haven't started this site. This is just a wonderful person who came up to us and said, hey, I'd like to be able to do this. I'd like to redesign the site. Again, I didn't design this site. Just want to show you something here. I think it was working. You know what? I think I removed it just to test something. So, matter of fact, here, search. Let's just search for something here. Oh, it's actually working. So I take that back. But the whole point of this was, there are some sites when I pop up and then all of a sudden I click that search bar, it says, hey, there's too many resources, look back at this. And the whole point of that was, you definitely, in my opinion, you don't want a shared hosting, and you don't want like the cheapest hosting out there. I mean, unless you just know that it's going to run your server greatly. I think that you want to set yourself up for success, and putting it on the cheapest hosting that you can find is definitely not the solution. There are a lot of people in those 2 Facebook groups that have recommended SiteGround. It's who I run with. I actually have a VPS for them that's something totally different because I put multiple sites on it. It's $80 a month. I don't want to scare you. You don't have to pay $80 a month. Right on my site there's a link, or you could just go to siteground.com. But let me just show you what their plans are. A lot of people, I recommend the Grow Big package, but again, only because it's got that speed boosting, catching, staging, and then your on-demand backups for people who are non-coding. These are easy things that you can get away with. It comes with a free SSL. That's all the traffic. So you could actually go with the startup, and the difference really is the extras that it's giving here, and then the 10,000 visits monthly. Well, technically, when you first start your site, you're not just going to start off with 10,000 visits monthly. So you can start with something like this, which is their startup package, and just start, and increase as you need it. Again, a lot of people are going with that Grow Big package. I've heard a lot of people, and this isn't just me being biased. There's a lot of people in the Facebook groups that are saying SiteGround is good. They also recommend like Amazon servers and things like that. But in my experience, you kind of have to be like tech savvy for like the Amazon web packages. Now this was back in the day. I haven't tried them now. Maybe they have an easy cPanel or something similar where you can just log in, download WordPress, and get going. But in my experience, I like to work with something that I'm comfortable with a cPanel and or a VPS server or something like that. And going into that. And then, of course, when you start making that money and you need 100,000 visits, you can also do the Go Geek. And then they go up from here. You don't have to just get these type of packages. You can get a VPS or a dedicated server. But definitely something you should check out. SiteGround, their hosting packages. Moving on to some of the questions. So that was 1 or 2. We talked about the custom designs. We showed Baja Live and those wonderful guys from them. When you import, so one of the questions was when I import dummy content, I have 2 pages, one with some weird code, it looks like WPBakery, and one with Elementor. How do I switch, or how do I know which code is from me? Well, I like to use, only because I'm an Elementor Pro user. Before ListingPro even came out, I had Elementor Pro and I was rocking with that. I'm really comfortable with the flexibility there. I really enjoy it. I've tried WPBakery, and back in the day I might have used it for a project or 2 because it came with a theme, but I just personally migrated over to Elementor, and specifically Elementor Pro. Now when the theme came out, it didn't support Elementor, then 2.5 came out, and now they support Elementor. You don't need the Pro version. There's not a lot of options that you can do with the Pro. If you already have the Pro for multiple sites, you can obviously upgrade into it at no extra cost. But let me show you what the question was really about. The question started here. So in your pages, this is just a dummy site. I just loaded it up, activated a license. There's been no modifications to it other than like the import. I didn't do anything. I did choose Elementor, but even if you chose, we'll cover a little bit of that. Even if you chose to have WPBakery in the back end, it doesn't make a difference. What you would do is you would add a new plugin. Let's just say you didn't have Elementor. You're coming from an old design, or you picked WPBakery, and you're like, oh no, I wanted Elementor. You don't have to redo it. So add the plugin, type in Elementor. Sorry, very far. Activate, and then after activate, the button goes, it'll say install, and then just install. And then you'll have Elementor and WPBakery. So what I recommend is if you don't want WPBakery, now if you're coming over from WPBakery, then you'll probably want to keep WPBakery for a little bit, like maybe, just until you've done your testing. That way you can see what the pages look like, because if you disable WPBakery, all you're going to see is coding. So let me show you an example here. You'll see something like this. What does this mean for me? I can kind of read it. It's just to edit your listing, and it looks like, some columns and rows and some coloring, and so really it's not a problem for me. It might be a problem for you if you have a whole page decked out and you're like, oh, I forget what it looked like. You can come back. If I had WPBakery installed, this would show me exactly what it looked like. And then I would just create a new page and kind of modify it and in Elementor, because you do have to redo the pages. So with that being said, if you've decked out a full page, like, you've got pop-up boxes here, and you've got all this wonderful text here and some font and some, you will have to redo that page. There's no just like converting it over. But you have this as the layout, so it shouldn't take long. You open up a new page and say, hey, I want 4 columns with pop-up boxes. I want this text to be this, and I use this as a reference. Now, if none of that makes sense, let's skip to the real question. We have multiple pages back here. So blog, contact, those are the same. Dashboard, those are actually going to be, I hope I didn't delete the page I wanted. The dashboard is, because neither one of them says Elementor, they're probably going to be, or they are going to be the same thing. I'll open up both these in 2 different pages. Dashboard is the dashboard. This dashboard is the dashboard, because that page wasn't created in Elementor or WPBakery. Not sure why they needed to include both. Now, I will tell you that one of them has listing author 2, and one of them has listing author. So what I like to do is I like to go down and I'll just view, and if you look in the bottom left, like down here when the link pops up, you'll see that this is listing author, this is listing author 2. So I'm going to go ahead and trash that one because I don't want to have to rename the page. I don't want any pages that say -2 on them. You know, that's just not the way I roll. So let's take out edit your listing. Edit your listing, if I look at the first one, I do want that as my page. Because this is edit listing, the second one is edit your listing view, edit your listing 2. But this one's already done in Elementor. So all we've done here, show you the different, whoops, I can't, that's a bad example. So from this one, you can only access it from a dashboard and then editing your listing. So let's skip over that one for now. And I'll explain more. I want you to see the reason I'm showing you this. Select plan, that's a good one. So we'll do select plan view. This is just the pricing plan, the page that I want. This is the page that's in Elementor. So you have 2 options, right? This is the page that I actually want. I want this URL, but I don't want Elementor in there. This is the stuff I want, but I don't want this URL, right? So technically, you can edit the page in Elementor. So this was a pricing plan, right? I can edit that existing page. I'm going to scrap this stuff. I'm going to update here. Edit with Elementor. And that was pricing plan. No, editing with Elementor. I'm just going to type pricing. Comes up pricing plans. I drag this in the middle. Bam. I have my pricing plans now on the page that I want. I'll click update. So that's how I can modify the pages that I already have. So that was currently a WPBakery page. I've just changed it into, sorry about that. I've changed it into your Elementor page, just editing and dropping in the code. And it also covers, well, remember I have 2 pages, right? I have pricing plan and pricing plan 2. And a lot of people, so first off, I'm going to delete pricing plan 2. I'm just going to view real quick. I think it was the second one. I'm going to trash that. I'm going to refresh, the page refreshes automatically. Privacy, it was selector plan. Perfect. So I have the page that I want. It's at the correct URL. Now, what if it wasn't at the correct URL? So let's talk about that real quick before we go into the next session. If it wasn't at the correct URL, I could edit the page like normal, not with Elementor. I'm not going to click this. I can always change that permalink, right? So if the page is completely trashed, so right now it's in the trash, the link still is open. What I want to do is I'm going to empty this trash. Go back over to publish. I'm going to go to my edit page. Remember, I'm editing the selector pan page. I'm not going to click edit with Elementor because I want this feature on the right, and I can change that URL back to, you know, whatever I want. So that would be a way to do it. Matter of fact, let's keep this 3. Normally, again, I go with pricing plan only. I'm going to update this, and now it's pricing plan 3. And when I'm going to refresh this. Hopefully that's not getting too confusing. I'm just covering 3 things with 1 page. So just so you can see the different ways to either switch from WPBakery to Elementor, or vice versa if you wanted to do that as well. As well as we're covering the listing URL, and you want to take that into consideration for this next question. And then URL config, which is the next step as well. So select your plan, view. We can see that's now the pricing plan 3. Remember, it's at the bottom here. Watch how this pops up. Pricing plan 3. I'm going to view that page, and now pricing plan 3 is what, you know, I want my URL, or maybe plans. But now here's the problem. Here it goes into another question. My add listing page doesn't work, or my submit listing page doesn't work, or my pricing plans don't work, or it comes up with a blank page. Well, here's the key. we have multiple pages back there, right? If I just click Add Listing, this goes to Pricing Plan 2. I mean, where does it get that information from, right? So here's the key. I want it to go to Pricing Plan 3. So a lot of people say, hey, why is my page blank? Well, your page could be blank because it could be going over to one of those dummy pages that we did have. Mine happens to be a 404 because the page doesn't even exist. Remember, I trashed it, or we deleted or re-edited it. So here's where that comes into play. The next question was theme options. You always want to, if you do edit those pages or if you're changing over from Elementor, double check those pages work. And then from there, go to your URL config. So that was theme options, URL config, and make sure you have the correct pages in there. So if you look, I have listing author 2, a listing, submit listing 2, edit listing 2, pricing plan 2. Well, we were talking about the pricing plan page, I believe. Select your plan. So technically, this would be 3. And I'll click save. Or I could just copy the page. I'm going to refresh and just double check that works. Add listing. Takes me to my pricing plan 3 page. So just double checking that URL config works. And again, the way I do it is I come in here, bam, bam, rinse and repeat, save changes, and then I just make sure, because that's a cleaner format, right? I don't want that. I see a lot of guys that keep that -2 or -1. Don't do it. Don't do that. Just change it in your URL config, change it under your pages, make sure that you have the right pages. Let's just see one more just for kicks. Submit your listing. So this one's submit to. This one is the one I want. So I'm actually going to trash this just for kicks. I'm going to edit this page, submit your listing. Obviously, this is VC or WPBakery code, so I'm going to take that out, hit update, edit with Elementor, and then type in listing, submit. I'm going to start with submit your listing is what it's called, but bam, we'll drop that in there. Bam, now my page works, right? So keep that in mind. That covers a bunch of questions that have been asked. Different methods. How do I switch? Why don't my URLs show up? I get that a lot of times. My pricing plan page is blank. So I'll tell you what you do so you know exactly what page you're on. If you click Add Listing and this page shows up blank, that's all right. Just click Edit the page at the top. So you already know what page this is. You know what URL is. Or you click Edit Page. This is the page you'll be editing. So you can just, bam, change your format here. Next question. I actually have to skip that one. It was like, how do I set up PayPal? I'll give you it's not going to be the answer you're looking for, but I'll give you the rundown of how to set up any payment processor. And I know this isn't going to be the official. The reason why is I don't want to give you guys access. I don't even want to log into my PayPal while creating these videos. There's guys out there, and I didn't really look at it, but I don't want them to have any of my information, see the money that I'm taking in, or seeing my app codes or anything like that. So with that being said, I will just show you the generalization of setting up these payments. It's theme options, payments. These guys do a really good job of just showing you how or what type of payments you want to take. The general information that we already talked about in the first video was here. Matter of fact, here's some other things that you want to check out because we just talked about your pages. What about these pages? You want to definitely set those up, right? If your payment fail page, after you've deleted copies of what you don't want and what you do want, come back in here, remember on the page, so delete the ones that you don't want of duplicates, and then come back here and just make sure that you have the right checkout page. Maybe not the second one. One of them has a funny URL, one of them doesn't. Right? So make sure that you have exactly what you want. Payment success, that's wrong. This would actually be payment fail. So if this is just a default load, I don't know why that page is set in wrong. So thank you page, which is payment success. That's where they're going to go. So definitely make sure that you set up this after you delete those pages. But more importantly, if you want to set up PayPal, I click enable obviously here because I want to set up PayPal. I know that I'm probably going to get some heat on this, but I've used this theme so many times I don't do the sandbox anymore. Sandbox, they want to give me a fake credit card I can test in the sandbox, and then I just switch it over to live. So one of my things is I just put it on live. Any payment like Stripe, PayPal and Stripe definitely, it gives you a code. And I know they've moved over to version 2, but if I paste this right in the window, on, you know, how to get my PayPal app by username, it'll pull me up to information on how to get my PayPal app by username. You know, for the most part, if you're logged in, you get a better, here's version 2. And that's a bad explanation. I think I have to be logged in for it to go directly to the page. And I apologize. I just wanted to show you the links under here will definitely help you out in getting your information. Pretty much this information is going to be displayed on the screen, and you just copy it in. Stripe, a lot of people were worried, you know, it's just going to be hard to get. I set up a Stripe account in like 2-3 minutes, and I've had clients do the same. So same thing. Once you're logged in, just copy this, switch it over to live, and go. Now, one of the ways I do test is, and I know it's not official, this is where the heat comes in. So if I set up PayPal and I try to make that plan purchase from, you know, the pricing plan, I submit my listing. If I get to the PayPal page, I assume it works. And that's only because I'm really comfortable with what's going on in the back end. You know, if they were to upgrade to 3.0, maybe I have to test it once just to make sure everything's working. But I feel like I'm probably going to take some heat. So let's just skip over that. So yeah, use the instructions that are here right in front of your face. And if you have any questions, reach out. We can hit you up directly. I don't use the direct payment wire, and then I used to have a 2 checkout account, but I'm not going to pay. It used to be like $99 set up, and then the same fees PayPal and Chase take. So I'm not rolling with 2 checkout anymore. But it's going to be the same thing. You know, you sign up, account ID, get your information. So hopefully that helps out. Now, one thing that we get another question that comes like this. Why do my pricing plans look funny? You know, I put in $21, $10, and $15, or $10 and $31. Why is it showing this 0.50? Well, a lot of times, if you're getting that extra, like you set this for $10, it's giving you like 50 cents. A lot of times that could be tax included. So under payment, if you click on tax, include taxes with pricing plans. So yes, I do want to charge taxes, right? Yeah, that's cool. Well, it's just extra money for me, or maybe my fees get eaten up, or maybe I pay taxes, whatever the case may be. Lawyers ignore that. Anybody working for the government, ignore that. But enabled, yes, but disable it in the pricing plan. That way, when they go to checkout, they'll see the tax, but your pricing plan doesn't look all jacked up. Now, there are some locations, and I didn't know this. I'm going to refresh the page so you can see that. $10, $30. There are some locations where I had heard that they had to do prices inclusive of tax. And again, a different country than, you know, the United States here, where I don't have to do that. But working overseas with a couple guys, they're like, no, we'd really like to show this with the tax. You know, and is there any way to do this? So keep that in mind. You know, each is his own, but that option was in payment, theme options, payment tax. For anybody asking, you know, the question of why doesn't my pricing plan show the exact amount that I wanted. Next question. Submit listing has code on it, but it's the wrong page. We covered that. Configure, yeah, Elementor code on the page. We covered that. Pricing plans and claim listings not showing up. So first off, if your pricing plan isn't showing up, either you got the wrong page, right? Edit the page, make sure you drop in a submit listing or the pricing plan feature, whether you're using WPBakery or Elementor, you just drop that element in the page and save. But if you still don't have that, make sure you actually have plans. You know, when I did the demo import, as you see, it came with 3 plans. So pricing plans is here. Just make sure you have 3 plans in here, right? You can always add a plan if they're not already in here. Fill out the basic information that it's asking for. You know, a title, what is the plan for? And click off the boxes that you want. Fill out the details here, and you're golden, right? But sometimes there's another thing that comes into play is you messed with this. Now, on a default setup, they're set for listing only. So for listing only, I will tell you that normally that is correct. On all the sites that I create for people, if they allow a claiming plan, so even if they're claiming a free plan, so what happens is if I go to, I'm going to go here, we're going to click Sushi Kashiba, one of the default listings here, and we're just going to click claim now. There's no plan available right now. So normally this page won't show up, right? What'll happen is it'll be a pop-up with your first name, last name, please prove that you own the plan. But what happened is I went into the settings. I said I didn't do anything, but I actually checked something. I went into the settings and I said, hey, I want to allow paid claims. I'm not going to be able to find this now. Watch. Listing claim, listings, listing claim. Claim here is okay, and then pricing plan. Yeah, perfect. So pricing plan, paid listing claim. I selected yes. If I select no, let's just go back and make sure that I'm not just talking. I'm gonna refresh the page. So normally this is what you get. They can just claim their business listing, right? It's for free. They can do this for free, no problem. This goes over your inbox and or your ListingPro CC dashboard, and you're set to go. You can approve it, right? But because I've set the one thing that I did do to test this paid listing claim over to yes, and you click save. Now it wants to say, hey, you can do paid claims, or you can do a free claim, but it doesn't really give me that option. Remember, it said, hey, there are no plans available right now. So this brings me back to the pricing plan. I select both for all my plans, right? Actually, let's go into a real pricing plan, not my generated nothing. I'm actually going to open all three of these up so you can see. Change them to both, which is for listings, for claims, or both. Now my pricing plan page didn't change at all. But if I were to refresh this page and hit that claim now button, the claim now offers the three plans, and then they would go into their dashboard and payment. So free shows me the options, basic shows me the options, and premium, and then goes to the same page that we've seen last time. But that allows them to select the plan first. You know what to bill them, or automatically bill them, or invoice them. And they should be set to go. Next question. Let's get rid of all these. Whoops. What was that? 35. Let me just go. Why don't my listings show up? Claim only. So this used to be a problem. I tried to reduplicate the problem, but I know that I've fixed the problem plenty of times, but I couldn't reduplicate it. And I'm not sure if it was the new theme that I just downloaded today, if there was a patch or an update. And I didn't check, but I want to show you one of the settings back here that a lot of people don't realize is back here. Back when there are conflicting settings like listing sort by, right? Your listings order by. It used to be, and this was a big problem for me, I couldn't find my listings on a page. I would create the listing in the back end or the front end, then I would approve it, right? But it wouldn't show up in my archives. Like when I went to search for anything, the claim would not show up. Matter of fact, only 2 listings were showing up. And that's because I had listings order set by claimed. Claimed was only, at the point in time when I created my first video, claimed was only showing claimed listings, and nothing was claimed except for the 2 dummy content claims. So I had a real hard time with, and I had claimed them, of course, but I had a really hard time finding this. So here again, we're in theme options, listing general, listings order by. Well, what should you do? This is up to you. You can do it by title, date, viewed. Highest rated. When you're starting a site, most viewed is going to be whatever you viewed the most. And what I like to do is equal opportunity for everybody. Whether you created it last week or you created it a year ago, I end up setting mine just for kicks to random. It's not alphabetical order might be good too. Ascending or descending, but random just gives everybody the equal opportunity to show up on those category pages, and I really appreciate that. Again, that's just my thought and suggestion. And then just make sure you're always saving changes. Moving on to another question. Oh, okay. So we're going to be wrapping this up soon. I just wanted to do a few questions and answers, but I do want to show you, and I want to get a little bit into, the typography. The question was, how do I know where these are? You know, obviously body font, we know where body font is, we know where navigation is, we know where headings are, but they didn't know where heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, heading 4, and so on were actually used in the site. And you know, if I wasn't a coder, well, I would just switch this over to pink, right? If I pick pink and look at my site, any place that's pink, that's where the H1 header style is. But there's an easier way to do this. I was just showing you, like if I didn't know any better, I clicked that save button, went over to my site, and I was like, hey, where is the H1s at? Well, that was a bad idea because obviously none is showing up. But you see my point. So change, there you go, H1 tag, clearly it's there. But anything that, you know, that's how it tests. You know, I didn't, if I didn't know coding. But I do want to show you a better way. And that brings me into also a CSS overview. I'm not going to teach you how to use CSS, you know, but I am going to teach you the basics to CSS. So here's one thing. If I wanted to know what this was, I right click and I'm on Google, what am I on, Chrome? I think a lot of editors do this, but I can just inspect the element. And in Chrome, it's going to show me the first thing I see, or matter of fact, I see something about an H1 tag. I see something about an H1, a whole H1 set here with pink. And I know that this is an H1 tag. If I come, let's find another heading. If I come here, let's right click, inspect. I'm going to see that this looks like, I see some H4s, I see some more H4s. Here's H4 kind of highlighted, but that's actually defining everything, so it has H1 through H4. But for the most part, this, and the color that it actually is, H4 is black. This is an H4 tag. So hopefully that covered the question. But now that we're into that, let's talk about CSS. All right, so I want to show you that you can't do any changes that are hard coded in your theme. So if I make any changes here, as soon as I refresh the page, it's gonna change back, right? So this is black, hovers over to blue. But if I want to click on this black box, and I want to maybe copy this color, or maybe I know the color is F2. No, you know what? I don't know that color. F333. Perfect. So I got a yellow, right? If you know the color code, you want to pick the color code. You can do that as well. You know, you kind of, or pick your color and find something. Maybe I modify it. Does that look good? I want a little bit lighter. You know, and you can kind of pick your color scheme and test it out here. Once you have that color code, so this is the code that's changing that. What I would do is I copy this and I'd place it in my editor. Now, I'll be honest with you. The way I do this, first let's talk about classes real quick. So this is going to be a little bit more in depth. These are classes, right? Did that not open? Yeah, it did. Perfect. So CSS classes or IDs, but for CSS, most of the time, there's other ways to do this, but you want to start it off with a period, your class name here, and then you'll put the brackets, right? And normally I press enter here, that way it looks like this. And then I paste in my information, so whatever I want that thing to do. So like color, red. And then I end it with this. So that would be a class. There's also ID. So if you don't have a class, maybe you have an ID, which is usually the pound symbol. Class ID here, which is just whatever that is, and then brackets, and then, you know, display none. So the two very important CSS codes that I want to teach you are right here. Again, I told you I'm not going to teach you CSS, but I want you to see something. So if I go into that Baja line, remember all those coloring and archive pages, and you'll see this default. Matter of fact, this is the default, but mine was all colored up and styled. We'll take a look at this. Search. I did orange on the border, blue for the H or the whatever tag, black instead of gray, and then the orange that they used here, and then blue is the line that separates them, right? So just to show you, we're going to go to dashboard, we're going to go to theme options. I want to show you, so remember theme options, then general, General. Perfect. This custom CSS box is where I go. So what I've done is I start here. This was already here. I actually leave that there. Right? I press a couple enter spaces. All this was not here. But just so you can see, what type of codes do I use? Well, this was a class, I told you, display none. This is a background color. So I use colors. Here's another color. Background color, color. This is some padding. We'll go over that another day. Background colors, colors. A little bit of height. Display none, display none. So for the most part, and as I scroll down this, you'll see I'm just CSS changing colors. Changing colors and display none. So what is display none? Display none is when I don't want to display something. So I find that the tagline here, I don't want this tagline, right? I don't want this. For some reason, I just don't want that. No, matter of fact, let's do I don't want this. If I right click, inspect, if I didn't know any coding, I can see that it comes up, list view.lp. whatever, and it says display. It already has a display. So what if I were to change that to display none? Let's just say it didn't have a display. Well, I could press in here. See how I put my cursor at the bottom? I would type in display, none. Look how that magically just disappeared. Perfect. So that's the code I need. So what I want to do is I want to copy everything. I want to copy the opening bracket, or the closing bracket. I want to copy this code here, copy. What I would do, general. Let's close this guy's site so we don't mess anything up. What I would do is I'd paste that right in my box here. I said I go down a couple lines, I paste it. Now I only technically needed the display none part. It already had the rest of these, so just to clean stuff up, I'm gonna delete the rest of those, right? I just wanted the display none part. So that's easy, and I don't know any coding. I'm just gonna display none. Now I do like to comment my stuff, so if I have to come back later and remove that, so to comment, I do a /, two of the whatever symbols, and then another /, the asterisk, sorry. And then I just put, what was this? Listing, archive, page, styling. Notice how it's in like this brown. It's not going to be read by the server. It's just a comment from me, right? So maybe I want to do some more styling. We're going to save this page. So I showed you the display none, how to display none. Now if it doesn't work, if you go back and it just doesn't work, mine does work, then remove the code. You've done something wrong, or you went in and clicked something outside of the box, right? So try it again. Let's do some color. So coloring, I said, I'm going to close this down just so you can fully see. I know that this is, what do we say, an H4 tag? I could probably go in there and just say, hey, I want all my H4 tags to be red. And I would do that under typography, right? But instead, I just want the list style, the box, the H4s, to be, just this section to be, let's go with a bright color. Let's go with bright purple, right? Not a color I'm really a fan of. I'm going to press enter. I'm going to take this code, and I'm going to copy my theme options. This is still listing archive page styling, so I'll just put a couple of enters there. Bam, bam. I didn't need the line height. That was already in there. I just want to change the color. I'm refreshing the page, and as you can see, they're now in purple. And on this view, I am missing my tagline, which is great. Right? So that's how you can kind of style it up. What else? We said, somebody asked button plans. It's the same thing, but pricing plan button CSS. It's going to be the same exact thing. I go over here. We're going to click that add listing button. They didn't like the button color. Actually, I use a different format. Let me show you something. I think they had this format. Maybe they didn't, but we're gonna switch the format just so it looks cooler. Right click, edit pricing plans, vertical view 3. Now I have this, but let's just say my whole site is purple and yellow, and there's no reason for me to have blue on my site. And we're gonna view the page. I'm going to take this stuff off so we're not just previewing, we're looking at the real view. And same thing, right click, inspect. It's gray now, it's blue when hovered. So I want it, instead of gray now, I set purple and yellow. I would pick my color of purple that I use all the time. I don't just guess colors. I have a color scheme, then I would put the same purple in all over the site, right? So I'd have my color code, I'd type it in here, which gave me something like this. I'd take that code. Oh, I also want the border. I don't want the gray border, so let's do the same purple. Matter of fact, same purple. I have this highlighter dropped, and when you have this drop, you can pick colors from around your website. Hopefully you can see that. It's so minute around the border, but let's leave it black. Perfect, I like that. And then I would just copy, remember I want the border, I want the background, and this. Now notice, so this time I didn't grab that closing bracket. So if I just wanted a little bit of the code because the code was way too long, I'll paste this in. I'm going to put my closing bracket in there. And I'm going to delete the stuff that I didn't need. The color was actually the font color. I might remove that. I'll remove the border radius because that's already going to be brought in from the style. And we'll click save there. And what about that hover color? Oh, this one's a little bit different. I still have the blue. Let's refresh the page just so you can see what it looks like refreshed. Now this is a little bit more in depth. I wasn't going to cover this, but I don't like that blue at all, right? So, oh, hey. I'm going to refresh one more time. Why is it showing the blue? I'm going to inspect. All right. So let's try, just so we can see it, let's try yellow. Let's go with orange because it's just quicker. We'll do the border. I messed the border up. So screw the border for now. But now you can see I would just copy all this code and the closing bracket and paste it back in my theme options. So rinse and repeat to get all your styling in just the way you want it. And of course, this wasn't on the listing archive page anymore, so it was on the pricing plan page. Now you don't have to do this, by putting your comments in there. But when you have a full page of comments and like you just went through it and you like customized everything and all you see is 500 rows of code, it gets a little bit hard trying to say, okay, pricing plan button, this one's easy because it has that in there. But this, like list view, list here, some people might not know what that is. So it just makes it easy. I have my archive page styling, I have the pricing plan page styling, homepage styling, whatever you want. Now don't get too into that because a lot of times Elementor won't change this. But Elementor will change your Elementor stuff that you can, like all this I can customize. I can customize this through Elementor. I can't do this is through ListingPro, but I can color this through Elementor or typography, and things like that. So hopefully this helped out. I think that's it from my questions. I have a bunch of questions, but they just weren't asked on like a regular basis. So if you've seen my comments in the 3 videos, I've responded to most of them. When I say most, it's just been recently, I think I missed like 5. And the reason I missed 5 is just like, simply, I don't know. I don't know everything, and as this gets more in-depth questions on like, hey, how can I do this and rip it open and build a bomb out of it? Like, I don't know how to do that. So the general questions, I'm pretty good with ListingPro, over 30 sites created. And I've got some wonderful examples. I know that people wanted to see scraping data and importing. I'm gonna be honest with you. Scraping data and importing. I did show importing on the last video. By the way, if you ran into an issue where custom form fields are not being imported from your CSV list, we have a user who has created a plugin for that. So I had over 900 something listings that need to be imported, but custom form fields, as of now, ListingPro and WP All Import don't import custom fields. They only import what's on the theme. We do have a plugin for that. I believe he's charging $29 or $39. I have to double check with him, but it's install and go. So super easy there. As far as scraping data depends on the data that you want. As I've seen many of these sites, if you just want yellow page in the States, I think some other countries have this as well, I guess. But yellow page data, from the yellowpages.com, you can scrape this all day long. You would put in a page that you want, find yourself a scraper, and why is my internet running funny? Oh, let's refresh. Maybe it's yellow pages running funny. Either way, what some people and what I recommend, a lot of people have said stuff about the Botsel web scraper, but it's going to depend on what you want to scrape first, right? So if I let's type in yellow page scraper, or yellow page scraping, yeah, it was just yellow pages. You can find different ways to scrape the yellow pages. You know, so depending on, and I'd love to tell you like my example is going to be the best, but it's not, because I wasn't scraping data from yellow pages. I was scraping data from somebody else's personal directory. So this wasn't going to help. I'm also on a Mac compared to if you're on a PC, and some scrapers don't work on the other platforms. Some work cross-platform, but you've got a bunch of different options. Obviously, ParseHub is an option I've heard of. You can buy, leads. You can get on, something like Fiverr, Fiverr.com, and pay, anywhere from $5 to $200 or as many, as whatever they sell, from yellow page scraping leads. If you'd like to do this on your own, there's a couple programs. What was I using for free? But it only got like 100 a day. Am I cool with that? Yeah. For a month I logged in. I had 3,000 listings, and that's all I wanted. But let me just open it up real quick. It was ScrapeStorm. ScrapeStorm, I could have upgraded, and I could have done as many listings as they provide. Again, I'm on a Mac. I don't know their solutions, but ScrapeStorm was really fun for me. But I'm also a developer. So I know how to figure things out. I know how to go to Google, and I didn't know how to use ScrapeStorm, so I found a ScrapeStorm tutorial, and then really quick found out that ScrapeStorm, at the bottom of it, it had something where I could sell it at yellow pages, and it was like scraping data off the pages that I put in. So it was really easy for me to adjust, do the research, and figure out how to use it. Now, a lot of guys are using Botsol, and I've heard a lot about this in the Facebook groups. Botsol, let's just type in web scrapers and nothing else comes up. But the ultimate scraping service, and I guess this is, browser automation. It's going to extract from the browser and the link that you provide. So, if you've got, maybe it's not Yellow Pages, it's Yelp. Or maybe it's something off Uber Eats, or maybe it's on a personal website, things like that. This is the automation tool that will grab some of those things. Unfortunately, Botsol's not free, so pricing is definitely on Botsol. And again, it depends on what you want. Importing, we already covered importing on the last video. I might get a little bit more in depth on scraping with ScrapeBot, but again, this is for my custom solution. Not everybody's scraping from where I'm scraping from. And then there was one more thing I wanted to cover. Oh yeah, so in Final they came out with Email Blaster Pro, ListingPro. I think this is going to be a really good tool to kind of automate some of the better looking emails for like reaching out to your clients. This is ListingPro. Right now they are charging $99 for it. I haven't tested it yet, but the owners of ListingPro and Criteo, they sent me over a copy that I could review. And I hope to be doing that soon. It looks super awesome. I talked to 2 people who have had it. They didn't want me to like test it on their site, but and now I have a copy as like 3 days ago. I'll be doing a review on this to tell you, the pros, the cons, kind of show you how to use it. And it's, it looks like a really good email marketing tool that specified the ListingPro and your users that sign up. So think about it. Look forward to the next video or two that will actually have the review of this and how it works, and you'll get to see it in action there. So subscribe to the channel. Like, comment, reach out and email if you need to. And again, I'm going to post those descriptions or those links that I had mentioned in the video in the comments. But thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for the support.